In today's video, I'm going to be talking to you about the first ever blouse I made. This is the Mimi blouse by the Tilly and the Buttons book, Love at First Stitch. So if you want to know more, stay tuned. Welcome back. If we're just meeting, my name's Claire. On this channel, I like to share plus size dressmaking videos. My aim is that I help you to improve your confidence in sewing, no matter what shape or size you are. If that sounds like something that interests you, do hit the subscribe button down below, because I bring videos to you once to twice per week. So presently I'm in the middle of a couple of really big projects. I haven't been making projects to put up on my vlog, so I've been trying to come up with a few different videos, be a little bit creative to bring you some value, but also bring you something that is garment related. I have done a couple of haul videos, so I did some pattern videos where I shared some patterns, and it's very, very rare that I go on a shopping spree for patterns and what have you, but we did have Black Friday, so do check out that video up there if that interests you. I also did a haul video on other bits of shopping for sewing. So I bought some fabric, I bought some notions and gadgets, and I also bought a little bit of furniture which will account for the background. Obviously I've got the tree up because it's Christmas, but I have got some other furniture. You can see my table there. So this is my normal desk where I do my editing on it, and the desk, which is that much higher, is the IKEA table that I have got. Let me zoom round a bit so you can see all my mess, but that's how much higher the table is. Been using it for about a week now, absolutely loving it. But if you want to learn more about that, do check that video up there as well, because I do talk about it a bit. I hadn't bought it at that point, but I was talking about my intentions with it. So getting back to today, I thought I'd try and be a little bit more creative. I was looking through my wardrobe and I came across this blouse. Now this is from the Mimi G. No, not Mimi G. Mimi G. This is from the Tilly and the Buttons book. It's called the Mimi blouse. So that blouse is in this book. And this was the first ever sewing book I bought. And the blouse was one of the very first garments I made. So that's the blouse. I'll try and put some footage up for you. So at the point I'd made this blouse, I had probably been sewing for about a year. I hadn't done very much at all. So when I first started sewing, there wasn't many patterns out that would fit my body. As a plus size person, it was very, very rare to find anything. I think only Seam Work were the one who were really offering anything, and I'm not sure that I had found them at this point. I had made a dress by In the Folds, but that only just fit me, and that was because of the finished measurements rather than the actual garment measurements. It was at a time when I wasn't really aware of my size, and because I was trying to garment make, I had to start taking my measurements, and I found that quite upsetting at the time. It was a journey that I needed to go on, and I have gone on it, and as you guys know, I mention my size all the time here, so you know it's not something that's an issue now, but at the time it was. And the lack of patterns in my size really didn't help. It didn't make me feel good at all, because there was so little patterns in my size. I'm sure if you've been in a similar predicament, you can understand where I'm coming from with that. And that is one of the reasons why I campaign for pattern designers to increase their sizes now. Anyway, moving on. So I decided that I was just going to make garments in an average size just to make them, because I wanted to learn to sew. I was enjoying sewing, and I didn't want the fact that patterns didn't fit me to hinder me from making things. So I did make a few things, and this was one of the first things I made. I can't actually remember what size I made it in, but I probably made the largest size, so a size 8. It might have even been a 7, you know. I can't remember, but I know that this wouldn't fit me in a million years. It wouldn't fit me then, and it most definitely doesn't fit me now. But there are lots of positives in this because I actually learned a ton of skills from this. And if you're new to sewing and are looking for a blouse pattern, you could go a lot further wrong than the Mimi blouse. I'll talk to you a bit about what features are in it. There's a loose fitting bodice. It's a button up blouse. So that includes buttonholes and sewing buttons on as well. It's gathered into a yoke around here on the front and the back. It has pleated sleeves and a Chelsea collar. So there's loads and loads of things to work with. And I don't know if you know about the Tilly and the Buttons Love at First Stitch, but if you don't, which rock have you been hiding under, honestly? So it goes from, at the beginning of the book, you make a scarf, and then you progress your skills with each garment that you make, and you end up with a dress at the end of it. Now the blouse is fairly far back, so it's not a beginner pattern, but I think because Tilly's pattern instructions, as you all know, are so fantastic, it's so detailed, along with really detailed pictures, you wouldn't have any problems. I think if you've sewn 1 or 2 garments before, then you're good to go with this. You really are. This was my first ever blouse I made, and honestly, if I made this today, I'd still be happy with it. I really would. Well, not totally happy, but you know, I wouldn't be upset if I made this now. Pretty much all the techniques that I learned in this blouse were new to me at the time, because as I say, I hadn't really sewn an awful lot. I just got my serger as well. So the techniques that were new to me was gathering. I'd gathered a skirt before and I found it quite difficult doing the gathering. And I gathered this blouse in, and there's the gathers there, but as you can see, they're more like mini pleats. So I haven't done it overly well, you know, for a first garment, you can't complain. And they've got them on the back as well. So they're gathered in the side, not so much in the middle, though they are, but there's less gathering in the middle. And then at that end, I do have a trick for gathering that I use now, and it works brilliantly. So all you've got to do is put your sewing machine on a basting stitch, turn your tension up, depending on how many gathers you want. The more gathers you want, turn your tension right up. The less gathers you want, turn it up but less so. You need to play around to see what works for you, and then just sew, and your machine will gather it up for you without you needing to do anything. Now I've done that a couple of times and it has been fantastic. So I've just taken this off the coat hanger so it's easier to show you, but this is the sleeve. Right there is a pleat. So that pleat was super easy. It's just folding the 2 bits over and then sewing down, which I apparently folded under and then hand stitched. So the collar, which as I only realised last night when I was preparing this video, is called a Chelsea collar. I like these collars because they show a bit of skin here, and as a larger person that's really, really flattering if you can see a bit of skin. I know myself, when my neckline comes up really high, or even there you can see a bit of skin, but I would have liked it to have been lower. This is my Ashton top. I'm wearing this today because it's quite festive. Look, it's holly on there. So yeah, I prefer the necklines when they, about there is just right for me, just above my cleavage. But I cannot, like a boat neck, no thank you. This I can cope with just about, but I normally would like it a little bit lower. So the fact of the shape of the Chelsea collar, I just love that, and I might actually incorporate that onto another blouse I wear. You find that there's the Aster blouse by Seamwork also has the same. It doesn't really have a collar, but the shape is the same, and I just love that. It looks like it's sewn really well. Oh dear.
I found a rookie error.
The first error is that the shape is a little bit wrong on that, I think. This is the centre back of the collar, but the worst bit is when you turn it over, you can see I've just pinked that and folded it over. I have absolutely no idea why I wouldn't have done that inside out and then folded it out. So that is a rookie error, and I definitely would not do that now. But you know, it's underneath. No one sees it when it's being worn. Let's have a look inside the collar if I dare. Yep, I have done some understitching. I've understitched and pinked. I think overall my collar wasn't a disaster, but obviously there is room for improvement. So the next thing I want to mention is buttonholes. So I'm going to undo my buttons for this. They look pretty good to me. They look like they've been done really, really well for a first blouse, and it's probably might even be my first buttonholes. I'm really impressed with that. I've attached my buttons. The top one is a little bit more of a distance than the other ones, but I think that was intentional. I should have spoken about this after I mentioned the collar, but I did a facing. So the facing goes from the hem all the way up, all the way around. You know how facings work. And I've also serged the edges. So I'm quite happy with that. For the hem, it looks like I've just turned it up and stitched. I know what I did here. So I had been watching a tutorial by Gertie in which she shows how to do a baby hem. So you sew a line of stitching, turn it over on that stitching, sew another line, trim it, and then sew another line. Because you can see I've got two rows there. Looks neat enough. I probably wouldn't do it so it's got two lines of stitching showing now, but there's on the outside there is only one line of stitching, and it looks fairly neat. The next thing I'll talk about is setting in sleeves. I'm not a huge fan of setting in sleeves, it has to be said. I would much rather set them in flat, and I do at every opportunity. However, this was set in. So I have just set it in and serged around the outside. I've still got a serge of thread, rookie error there. Always cut your threads off. I've got a pleat there, there shouldn't be a pleat, and that's just where the gathering, the easing has gone wrong, and I haven't fixed it. I'm pretty happy with these set-in sleeves. For a first make, I wouldn't beat myself up about those little tucks, and with the fabric you're not going to see them anyway. So that's that, and the only other thing that I need to show you is my French seam. So I did French seams there. And that, when you do a French seam, if you haven't done one before, it's you just sew wrong sides together rather than right sides at, I think, 3/8. Whatever your seam allowance is, split it into wrong sides together, trim it, turn it over and sew it wrong sides together, and then the whole of the seam is enclosed as such. And I just think that looks really neat. I wouldn't do that on a thick fabric, but I would do it on a fabric such as cotton lawn or anything quite lightweight, like a viscose maybe I would do that on, or chiffon or georgette, but I just wouldn't do it. You wouldn't do it on a wool or even like a quilting cotton or something heavy like that. You might do it on a quilting cotton. I probably wouldn't go down that route because it can create too much bulk. So at the beginning of the video, I explained that I made this blouse in a size that doesn't fit me, and that's because the size range didn't go up. Very fortunately, many pattern companies now do go up into extra sizes, and Tilly and the Buttons have introduced 2 more sizes in a couple of their patterns, not all of their patterns, but I'm guessing the patterns that do allow for those larger sizes that she adds them in. But if we look in this book, which was released in, this book doesn't actually say when it was released, but I'm thinking 2013, 2014, around that time, because that's when I started sewing, and this book was the book that got me into sewing. Her sizing, if I can find it for you. So for the pyjamas, which were another garment that I made, bit of a funny story there. It was the first time I'd ever made any kind of trousers, and I cut out the fabric pieces for the trousers, and I could not for the life of me work out why the front pieces were not the same shape as the back pieces. I couldn't fathom how they would fit on me, or they would sew up together if they were not the same. So I cut either the front or the back to mimic the other one and made them up, and obviously they didn't fit because the front and back need to be different shapes and sizes. So I kind of gave up sewing trousers after that, but back on track. So there's her pattern sizes. So what I do like about Tilly and the Buttons is that they size from 1 to 8 rather than a 10, 12, 14, etc. But they go from like a hip 33 to a hip 47, and my hip is 56, so I'm far outside of the range. She has included some more sizes, as I mentioned. I am going to be making the indigo dress very shortly, so I'll go more into those extra sizes in that video. So do hit subscribe if you're interested in that. Size inclusivity in this book isn't fantastic, but as I say, it's a waist of 38 and a hip of 47 for the largest. Let's see if I can find the bust measurements anywhere. So she works with a 44 bust, a 38 waist and a 47 hip. So if you're within that price range, I've got to keep that in, haven't I? If you're within that measurement range and you're looking to make your first or even your second blouse, then I would highly recommend this book and the blouse within it, because I learnt so much from it. Now, if you're not within those sizes, then I can't recommend it, purely because it wouldn't fit you, and I do not advocate you making clothes that don't fit you just to make clothes like I did. Because I went on and made the Bettine dress in a size 12, I think. I'm not sure what Tilly size it was, but it was around about a size 12. And I absolutely adored it and couldn't wear it, and that was an awful feeling. So I would really recommend that you do make clothes in your size. There are so many brands out there now that are offering larger sizes. So do check out some of my previous videos for inspiration if that interests you. As mentioned in passing before, the instructions for Tilly and the Buttons are fantastic. She gives really good instruction. I'm just trying to find. So there's an example of her instruction. So as you see, there's lots of text here and some lovely photos there. They demonstrate really well, so there's more pictures on that. So I would highly recommend this if you're new and you do need your hand holding through a garment process. Then Tilly and the Buttons is the designer for you. And I like that they've got techniques in boxes. This book is jam-packed with value. And actually, I have 2 copies of this. This is my unused copy, which looks pristine. I also have another copy that is completely battered. And I bought this on sale when it was going for £5 on Amazon, because I just wanted a copy to preserve, because this was the book that did give me this love of sewing that I have. So if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more like it, do hit that subscribe button below. Give me a like and a comment. Let me know, have you made the Mimi blouse? I keep going to say Mimi G, it's not Mimi G. Do leave a comment down below letting us know which blouse pattern you would recommend for people new to sewing blouses, especially if they are plus size. I actually like the Asta blouse as well by Seamwork, so that might be one to look at. And it's very similar to this one, except it hasn't got the actual collar. But you could add the collar in. I might show you how to do that one day. So as always, guys, thank you for your support. I really do appreciate it. I hope you found value in this video. If you did, please hit all the things. Just a quick reminder that I do have a Ko-fi account, and that's at ko-fi.com/penguinandpear, where you can support the channel further if you so wish. So do go and have a look at that. Until next time, happy sewing. Bye for now. In today's video, I'm going to be talking to you about the first ever blouse I made. Whoop! So if that interests you, stay tuned. I look today, that makes a world of difference. I'm so tired.